Welcome to episode number 3 of the Developer Odyssey. Today we'll be tackling the question, can anyone really learn to code? If this is the first video that you've seen in this series, I highly recommend that you click the link down in the description for the playlist. That'll take you back to the beginning of this series and give you an idea of really what we're trying to do with the Developer Odyssey series. Of course, you can always jump around in the series, so don't feel bad if you want to skip out of this one and go to something else. Okay, so can anyone really learn to code? This is one of those things that's put out there by a lot of boot camps, a lot of anybody that's selling something basically to try to teach people how to code. Um, Basically, the idea is yes, everybody can learn how to code, and to some degree, that is true. So earlier, I was looking through some of the different websites that provide boot camps and things like that. And I came across this question. So here's what it says. Can I actually learn code in 16 weeks? This is a 16-week boot camp. It says, yes, even if you're a complete beginner, we've been perfecting our curriculum since 2012. So if you're eager to learn, study software development. Now, I'm not here trying to say that this is a bad company or anything like that. I'm not promoting them. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go there. All I'm saying is that's a very nuanced question, and I think we need to answer it with a little bit more nuance than just saying, yes, everybody can learn to code. I believe that most people have the ability to learn code and to learn how to write code because most people have the ability to learn a language. Even people who are deaf or mute still have the ability to learn a language. You typically use sign language, right? They use some form of communication. And most of us who are blessed with hearing and blessed with speech, and often writing, we have the ability to learn language from very young age. We can learn how to communicate. And really, in some sense, that's one of the reasons why we call programming a language. It's a very similar process. We're learning how to take a concept and do something with that concept, right? So it's just about how learning a process, learning steps along the way. So if you ask, can anyone really learn to code? Unless they're developmentally disabled in some capacity, I would say most people absolutely can learn to write code and read code and understand what code is doing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be good at it. That doesn't necessarily mean that they should pursue it as a career. And I think that's where a lot of people get wrapped around the axle a little bit there, especially with like these online boot camps, these training courses. They give you the idea that anybody can just jump into this and learn it and it'll be quick. Again, that example was 16 weeks. So the idea that they're trying to get across there is that in 16 weeks, you can learn enough to jump out there and get a career. And if that's what we're really asking, which I think is what most people are asking, then I would say no. In fact, I would say that almost nobody can do that. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of drive to get into this industry in only 16 weeks. Now, have some people done it? Absolutely. They've just had the right personality, they had the right abilities, they had the right scenarios to get in with the right companies. There's a lot of just right things that really help them along the way to make that successful. But I do believe that most people can learn to code. That doesn't mean they're going to be successful doing it as a career. See, there's more to writing code than just simply putting the words together in a way that makes sense. There's more to it than just understanding that this word means variable and understanding how you use a variable. There's so much more to understanding code than just knowing this is what a loop is and this is what it does. At the end of the day, you need to know how to take those different words and put them together in a sentence, right? So if we're learning a language, we may know what the word software means, but if we don't know how to use it in a sentence, we're not going to actually be able to communicate with that word software, right? So we need to be able to not just know how to spell words and put them into sentences, but we need to put them into sentences that make sense, that actually communicate something. We need to take those sentences and put them into paragraphs, to write stories and to write books and to write information that's going to help others understand what it is that we're trying to communicate. And really, that's the same thing as writing code. Yes, lots and lots of people have learned how to write code, but they don't necessarily enjoy it. That doesn't mean they know how to communicate with it. They know how to put it together in a meaningful way. My daughter is one of those people. She understands the concepts, but she just doesn't really putting it together and making it into a functional program just is not her skill set. It's not what she's gifted at. And so becoming a programmer is probably not what she's going to end up doing. So can anyone really learn to code? Yes, but that does not mean they're going to be able to put that code to good use in a career that's going to progress and help them achieve the goals that they think they're going to achieve. At the end of the day, I think it's important for us to realize that not everybody is going to have the same desire to work with code. There's actually a lot of developers that I know, they don't even want to look at a computer once they get home because they just can't stand being on the computer. And I'm like, but that's what we do for a living. I mean, you should want to to write code, I would think, right? You should enjoy it. It should be something that you like. But there's some people they just do it because they can, but not necessarily because they want to. And a lot of times you're not going to be able to pursue a successful career. You're going to kind of plateau at some point if it's not something that you really desire doing. If it's not something that you have an aptitude for, you may be able to learn the basics of it and be able to do some things maybe from like a design standpoint, but maybe the data side of things and the back end side might be difficult for you. You may not just be that type of person that understands that very well. Or maybe you just have a hard time learning the way that developers tend to talk and developers tend to teach. You just may not be able to find the right person that's going to help you understand how you think and turn that into a successful career in learning code. And I just want to say, as we're getting close to the end here, that it's okay if you go through this series, and even if you've only hit episode 3 here, and you hear me start talking about writing code and how it may not be that easy for you. It's okay for you to decide that being a software developer is not for you. I think a lot of times, unfortunately, especially junior developers can start to think poorly about themselves if they realize along the way, hey, I'm not very good at this, and I don't think this is something that I'm going to be successful at. And they kind of think down on themselves as if they failed at something. I want you to understand, you are not a failure if you find out that this is not the job for you. Please, 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 even if you've put time into learning it, you've still learned something. You've still grown in your skill set. But please do not think any less of yourself if you find out after a few months, or even right now, you're listening to this and you're just like, you know what, this is not for me. I would much rather you know that and go out and find something else that really is in your wheelhouse, that really is something that you can achieve at, than have you just sit here and slog through and try and feel like you're failing all the time, because that's not going to help you succeed either. So if you are looking at this and you say, you know what, I don't think this is for me, don't do it. Don't pursue it. I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you to become a developer. Would I love for you to become a developer? Absolutely. I think it's an awesome career. I think that a lot more people can do it than do it, but it is not for everybody, and not everybody can turn learning to code into a successful career. And that's exactly what this series is for. This series is here to help you determine if this is the right career path for you, so that you know, I can be successful at this. I can take this information and I can choose my adventure. I can start my Developer Odyssey and know that this is something that I can pursue and I can be successful at. And if that's not for you, great. Go find something that's successful to you. Don't feel bad. Don't feel like you're a failure in any way if this is not the career path for you. Whether this is the career path for you or not, if you're finding this information helpful, if you would click the like button for me, I would really appreciate it. It helps YouTube get this out to other people who might be looking to get into software development, or maybe have already started the journey as junior developers. It just helps us get that out there to more people so that we can help more people understand, hey, I may be able to learn how to code, but maybe this isn't the career path for me. Or, man, I love writing code. This is just awesome, and I want to pursue it even further. So if you could hit that like button, I would really appreciate it. Of course, if you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button as well if you find this content helpful. And I'm looking forward to the next episode in this series. I hope you are too. So I'll see you on the next one.